So this is a different video than the 10 that you had seen with the Mr. Basketball reviews. I'm in the middle of trying to find a new format and ideas for videos, but I wanted to get something out there that was on my mind from this past NBA draft. And instead of wasting time trying to figure out a format for these videos, I'm taking a page out of the Funky Diabetics book and just speaking to you all. And maybe I can help clear my mind as I speak it out. So 2 nights ago during the NBA draft, the Hawks used their 6th overall pick to select Onyeka Okongwu, the center out of USC. And if you're not familiar with Onyeka, he's been compared to Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat. And if somehow you don't know either player, which would be damn hard to believe, these players are known for their strong defensive instincts and shot blocking, high mobility and agility, but most importantly of all, in my opinion, is their ability to guard in space that makes them so valuable in today's NBA game. The reason why this skill is so important is because the NBA game has stretched out to the three-point line where many teams take a high volume amount of their shots. This would put many traditional big men back in the day at risk of becoming a liability for NBA teams because they would be forced to be drawn out of the paint because teams would expose mismatches and try to get them to come out to the three-point line where guards and wings would have a field day. So that's where a player like Bam and hopefully Onyeka come in because their ability to guard in that space where they can hop out on guards and wings and may even have a chance to stop them. This is the future of the center position at the NBA level. But my reason for creating this video isn't to talk about the future at the center position at the NBA level. It is not even to talk about Bam Adebayo or Onyeka Okongwu as an NBA prospect for that matter. Because to be quite honest, I think Onyeka is going to have a fine NBA career. I think he was a safe pick for a lot of teams, even for the Atlanta Hawks. But that's where my focus on this video goes. The Atlanta Hawks and their overall strategy. I'm trying to figure it out. The Hawks walked in this draft with a number of concerns, but a huge glaring issue they had was who is going to help take the scoring burden off of Trae Young's shoulders. I was hoping they would find another guard to play along with Trae Young. I thought the Hawks were going to try to make a trade with Minnesota and pick up Anthony Edwards, but that didn't happen. And so I thought next up would be Tyrese Halliburton, who I think would have played great next to Trae Young. He doesn't need the ball in his hands as much, has shown he could be a pretty good shooter, playmaker as well, and defensively, he has the length and size to cover up for some of Trae's defensive pitfalls. And this is where I know I'm going to have a lot of people come at me and say, well, you're crazy because you always take best available over best fit. And I wouldn't argue with that. But in this draft, outside of the top 3, who many people have had their concerns on are they franchise-changing talent, this was a pretty open draft. And although Halliburton surprisingly fell down all the way to the Kings, I honestly felt he was the best available and also the best fit for the Atlanta Hawks on the board. So now the Hawks are still in search trying to find the right running mate next to Trae Young in the backcourt, but now they have another challenge. How are they going to distribute the minutes to the players that they have invested in at the front court between Collins, Capella, and now Onyeka? So let me start with Capella first. So the Atlanta Hawks were terrible all around last year. They had injuries, a lot of in-season roster changes. They had a young core that was trying to learn its way and had some serious growing pains. But they had serious issues protecting the paint. And they addressed this during the trade deadline where they made a trade for Clint Capella. And Clint Capella, seasoned veteran with playoff experience, a great anchor on defense for a team who may not give you much offense, but he's another player that has good capability of guarding in space. And the rest of the league thought this was a great move for the Atlanta Hawks. I thought it was a great move for the Atlanta Hawks. I thought Capella was for sure the unquestioned center of the future for the Atlanta Hawks. And the Hawks have him on contract until the end of 2023 for about 16 to 18 million a year, or a total of about 51 million guaranteed. Remember that number. So now let's talk about John Collins, who is probably the highlight of this whole front court situation for the Hawks. John Collins, drafted in 2017, a steal for the Hawks, is one of the best young big men in the league. A player that can give you 20 points, 10 rebounds on any given night. and has the ability to space the floor. Over the years, he's added a three-point shot that we didn't see from him during his time at Wake Forest, which just adds to the type of player Collins is. He's a dedicated and hard-working player, and extremely valuable to the Atlanta Hawks. But John Collins is almost at the end of his rookie contract. Next year, he'll be a restricted free agent, and he has made it well known that he believes he's a max contract player. And the Atlanta Hawks have been hesitant to come out and agree with that statement. The Hawks are taking a long look at John Collins, and I would too, because my concerns with John Collins is, what does he do for me if he doesn't have a point guard like Trae Young? Can he create his own shot? I haven't seen that right now. Can he create for others? I haven't seen that right now. So if he's not able to do the other things I need a max contract player to do for me, I am going to hesitate. Because a max contract for Collins could be anywhere like 4 years, $80 million to like 4 years, $110 million. And although the Hawks have cap space, that's a lot of money to throw out if I'm not 100% convinced you're that guy. And now you throw Onyeka in the mix of all this, and this is where it just makes everything so confusing. Unless, of course, the Atlanta Hawks aren't done making moves yet. And I'm not talking about free agency right now, because there have been rumors around the Atlanta Hawks possibly looking to get a player like Gordon Hayward, who I don't think would be an ideal fit with Atlanta because of the age gap of the young core and his unavailability due to the injuries he sustained over his career recently. But something's telling me the Hawks aren't done yet making moves with their front court that they have right now. And I must be losing my damn mind, because I think something may occur between the Hawks and the Minnesota Timberwolves. And there's some possibilities that could be here. Either maybe Edwards going to Atlanta or Malik Beasley going to Atlanta. Let's talk about the Edwards scenario first. It's no secret that the Timberwolves had taken their good time before they made their selection with the number 1 pick to select Anthony Edwards. And there had been a lot of questions in the NBA around Edwards' work ethic and his commitment to becoming a great basketball player that the Timberwolves had to consider before selecting him. Although when you compare the top 3 picks in this year's draft, Edwards made the most sense for the Timberwolves to grab. But Edwards, a strong, athletic kid who has the ability to create his own shot, that has dealt with some efficiency issues. He's a player that needs the ball in his hands. And in Minnesota, that may be tough because you have 2 players in Karl-Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell who are pretty ball-dominant players, and you wonder if there's enough ball to go around for all 3 of them. And the Timberwolves now have a plethora of offensive firepower, but their defense is looking really sketchy. And in my Minnesota video, I had thought that Onyeka would be the perfect fit next to Towns because of Towns' unique ability to pretty much basically be a guard in the center's body and stretch the floor from 3, which would allow a player like Onyeka to man the fort on defense. But of course, Minnesota wasn't going to use the number 1 pick to select Onyeka. But now this is where the Atlanta Hawks come in. Because without a doubt, Edwards is a perfect fit for the Atlanta Hawks as a Robin to Trae Young's Batman. And the Hawks could do something like offer up Onyeka and maybe Kevin Huerter or maybe another asset to acquire Edwards, and both teams walk away happy. Because Minnesota did another thing that was a little interesting, where they extended a qualifying offer to Malik Beasley, which makes him a restricted free agent now who happens to play shooting guard, which is the same position as Anthony Edwards. And before the offseason incident that happened with Malik that I won't touch on, Malik was believed to get a pretty decent payday from the Minnesota Timberwolves this offseason. And that's still possible, but I'm sure there's teams that are going to show interest in Malik. And Atlanta might be one of those teams. Because again, he would be another player that could fit very well next to a player like Trae Young, although there would be some issues defensively as well. But you have a player that can create his own offense and is a fairly good shooter. So I don't know, maybe there could be a sign and trade that could occur. But what I'm saying is that I think there's some type of relationship between Minnesota and the Atlanta Hawks where this could work, because they are a team that helped the Atlanta Hawks get Clint Capella during last season's trade deadline, because everyone talks about the relationship between the Golden State Warriors and the Atlanta Hawks front office, but there could be one in Minnesota. You never know. But I could see a world where both of these teams do something of this caliber. But who knows? I mean, I'm new to this. I'm not going to act like I'm some NBA insider that has all the details. I just come up with ideas and things that maybe make sense to me. But I don't know. Let me know if this makes sense to you all. Let me know if you think the Atlanta Hawks strategy makes sense with their front court. Anyways, I think that's pretty much everything I touched on, and I'll keep it there. I'll see you guys next time.